All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA, and thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So when I record these podcasts, I usually don't even have notes in front of me. I just kind of want to like freelance it, just kind of speak my mind. And today is one of the things that kind of just jumped up after I got out of the shower, and it's kind of about commitment. And I think a lot of us were programmed to, if we want something, to immediately commit to it, or kind of go in what I call head first into like the pool with no water. And I get it. A lot of times people do need to commit to certain things, 100%. Once you understand what it is exactly that you want. But I think most of us are truly confused or not as interested as we think we are. So that's what I'm going to kind of get into today is not actually committing to things that you may be interested in. So I know a ton of people out there that are, well, I'm sure you do as well, that are always saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. I can't seem to do this, I can't seem to do that, whatever the case may be. I think, again, and I talk about this at least with me that has worked over the years, is going as slowly as I can to figure out what I want. But then once I figure out what I want, then I'm like an animal. Then you can't stop me. But the thing is, I need to test different things. And I hate to say this, I even talk about this in my program, which I'm not going to get too into, Mastering Self-Confidence, regarding women. A lot of times guys just settle. And I hate to say this about any relationship to a certain degree, but a lot of relationships or a lot of people you should be you're meeting should be almost like a page in a magazine where you're kind of flipping through it. That doesn't mean every day, every month. I'm just saying a lot of times you have to weed through a lot of things to find the right person or find the right thing that works for you. Even hypothetically, let's use a book, for example, or a magazine. I know tons of people now that want to still read books or want to read whatever it is. And I tell them, then why aren't you reading? Because usually we all know we have enough time to read a book here and there. But when you hear, I got to read a book, it's 200 pages, I think, that's where people kind of freak out. They're like, oh my God, how long does that take? 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours? I don't know how many hours. Who cares? The thing is, you're interested in the book. Why? I have no idea. Someone could have told you about it. You could have saw the cover. You could have read the title, whatever the case may be. But you never actually get to looking at it. The thing, like I tell people, is just get it and skim through it. Just look at it. That's half the battle, is just seeing, like, go through the pages, read a little bit about it. That way you know for sure if you really want to read it or not. It's real simple. But a lot of people just think, oh, I got to commit. I got to start on chapter 1. I have to, go through the whole process. And then a lot of them, even when they start, they quit. They get kind of into it. They get bored, which is understandable. It's not what they thought it was. And that's a lot of things. Even, I used to go to tons of movies all the time. Tons. I mean, I'm a filmmaker. I show the movie theater, sit to 2, 3 movies, whatever the case may be. And then after a while, I'm like, I used to sit through every movie, even if I thought it sucked. And finally, I had to realize, I got to get the fuck out of here. This thing is not for me. And I'm not saying that not every film. Sometimes they get better, and you go through them, and you're like, oh my God, thank God I stayed for that film. But a majority of them, in like a half an hour, I kind of knew the characters. I kind of knew where the story was going. Most of them that I've ever walked out on, I'm very happy I walked out on. And then I was able to catch a lot of those even on cable or with someone else, or somebody wanted to see it later. Whatever the case may be, your instincts got to really, trust your instincts is really what I'm trying to say as well. But back to the book, don't look at something like it's an overwhelming thing or how many hours it's going to take. Just dabble in it a little bit. Make sure you truly are interested in that book. Because just because somebody else told you about it doesn't mean it's for you. Not only that, make sure, if you like watching Netflix at night, better than reading books, the truth is you're going to watch Netflix. I mean, that's the reality of who you've become, and that's nothing wrong with that. If you like, whatever it is, being on Facebook or social media more than reading, because a lot of us, I can't say me not as much, but a lot of people at night, they're on social media. And if you look at all the hours you spend looking at social media when you could be reading a book or educating yourself, doing all these things, don't feel bad about it. You're where you want to be. I don't want to say you're nosy, but you're more interested a lot of times in what other people are doing in their life, because that's what a large part of social media is. Even though people don't want to admit that, they usually want to say, oh, I hate Facebook, or I hate Twitter, I hate this. But most of us are on there. So back to the commitment phase, and I'll go back to a gym because that's one of the things people ask me the most about is when they decide, especially New Year's resolution people, since it's around New Year's, but They think by saying, I'm going to start on the 1st of January a workout routine, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to just go to the gym, I'm going to sign up, and that's it. What does that mean? That's a date that you got to kind of, if you want to do something, you do it now. Kind of remember the Johnny Manziel, I don't know if you remember that football player, and he sent out a tweet. I don't know what day it was. It might have been Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Anyways, he sent out a tweet that says, I'm going to sober up starting Monday. That was one of the funniest things I ever heard, but it was like one of the most honest. And I don't know if he stuck with it or not, but he still wanted to have 4 or 5 days to party. And I'm not saying he did or didn't, start doing whatever he wanted after that date. But I think a lot of us live in that time frame. I once went to meet with my uncle, and he always wanted to work out with me. And I says, whenever you're ready. It was like Tuesday, I remember. And he looked at me, and he put his hands on his stomach, and he says, we start Monday. He gave himself 6 days instead of just saying, yeah, let's start in the next day or two or whatever the case may be. Because the truth was, I don't think he really wanted to work out as much as a lot of times a lot of us want to do things. And when somebody puts us against the wall, and says, hey, let's do it now or let's start. You're like, wait a minute. I'm not sure about that. You want to talk about it. You don't necessarily want to do it. And if you ever been to a gym, and I tell people this all the time, don't commit to any type of workout unless you know what workout you want to do. That goes for a gym as well. Go to a gym in your neighborhood. There may be a few different ones. And again, don't go because a friend goes all the time, or unless they want to work out with you, but go to the gym that fits your needs. Somebody may like CrossFit, somebody likes powerlifting, somebody may like bodybuilding, somebody may just like running. Each gym, some people may only like swimming. So one gym has a pool, one doesn't. One has a track, one doesn't. All these different things have to work for you. But you don't need to go in there and commit. You can ask for a 3-day pass, a 2-week pass. Go there at night, I tell people, during the day. All these different times to see if you like who's there. Because there's a lot of things in life that we sometimes just jump into. We don't know what, I guess you could say, what's really behind it, right? Like I just said, reading a book, going to a gym. And that could be a relationship as well. A lot of times, the slower I believe you get into a relationship, the better off you are. I don't care if you even just start off talking to somebody sitting down, then the next thing could be a cup of coffee, the next thing maybe lunch, maybe not. I don't need somebody to go out and spend, $200-$300 on a steak and lobster dinner to get to know them. I think that's bullshit anyways. I think you're wasting your money. But again, I get where some people do need, because they're so either lazy, lackadaisy, what do you want to, non-committal, what's the word here, non-decisive, I don't know. I see those type of people. And sometimes those people, once they do commit to something, or they need that something to say, okay, I commit to reading the book, and then they will read the book. The only way they will read that book is if they just go wholeheartedly into it and bog down or whatever, just do it. But for most of us, I believe, that is not the right approach. I think, again, there's so many things people talk about that they want to do. It could even be going on, let's just put this, for instance, like changing jobs. Everyone's got to quit bullshitting themselves, because especially younger people, they are always online looking for a better opportunity, a better job most likely. Maybe not all of them, but a majority of them. Even middle-aged guys. If something came around that's better than what they have, they're going to probably dip, right? What did that one, that guy, somebody came out with some stats regarding how, younger people, especially millennials, I guess, or a lot of them, how much time at work they spend looking for a better job than the one they're at, on their phone, on their computer, on their tablet, whatever the case may be, which is quite interesting. But here's the thing. A lot of times people do think the grass is greener on the other side, which sometimes it absolutely is. A lot of times, for the most part, it isn't. And as you know, you're probably in a job that you probably left another job. And guess what? A lot of times you're miserable, right? You're not always as happy as you think you'd be. You're not making as much money as you thought you would. You may not be dealing with the people you want to be dealing with, whatever the case may be. I tell people, if you want to try different things, really go do it for free. Ask somebody if there is another job you're interested in, instead of legitimately leaving your job to go to another job. Because a lot of times, and I'm almost 50, I haven't had a ton of different jobs, but I know a ton of different people. And I'd say a lot of people who leave their job that they've been at for years and go somewhere else, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's much better, the pay may even better, but a lot of times, more than most, they don't like the new job. I think they get put in different situations that they didn't expect. They were promised a lot of things that they didn't get. Now they're kind of embarrassed that they left their job, and people usually could go back to their old job. I think a lot of times just don't do it because, like I said, they're embarrassed. But if you really want to try another job or do something, and even if it's your friend works in another company, just one, I'd say, is just go hang with those people. If you could go to a party with them or an event, I don't care if they're at a convention or whatever your job is, I don't care if it's in a warehouse, go hang out with these people. Really figure it out. Because a lot of times, like I said, it's not just about work, it's about the environment you're in and the people you're surrounded by. A job's a job. Whatever you have to do, you do. But who are the people involved? Who will really be your boss, possibly? Who's going to be, what are you going to be in charge of? All these things. Because when we look at sometimes our friends who have jobs that offer us jobs, it says, hey, come here, it's great. We do this, we do that. And then you go there, you're like, this is not that good. Where I had it was a lot better. Again, just think about what you're doing. You don't always have to commit, and don't do things that I believe like you react because you're pissy at your job or you're mad now. I didn't get this or I didn't get that. Now I'm ready to go. And that doesn't mean, you have your right to go anywhere you want, whenever you want. I'm not saying that. And any opportunity you could get, that's on you. God bless you. Just make sure you keep making the right decisions. And jobs, a lot of times, as you know, sometimes even you go there, you may, and I know this happens to tons of people, they go there after a couple months or whatever, they get terminated, which is now they have no job. There's all these different things regarding work I'm not going to get into, but you get my point that go there. And even if it's a profession you're thinking about going into, because a lot of people I know being involved with film and stuff, they're like, oh, I want to become a professional actor. Or I want to become this, I want to become that. I'm like, do you know how much hard work it's going to take to do that? Which is great, but kind of forget all the training that you need. And I'm not just talking acting. It could be a mechanic. It could be anything. Go work in those environments or just hang out with those people again. If you could, I'll just use for a set of a movie, go be an extra. Go see what they're going through. But here's the deal. Don't think that all those people there started, there. You have to go through a long process. But at least you get to see, being on a set, how hard they work, how daunting it is, actually how boring it can become. Talk to the other actors. If you're a mechanic, go hang out in a mechanic shop. If you're thinking about going to school to be a mechanic, go in, like I live in Florida, go in the heat in a garage for, 12, 16 hours a day. I don't care where you go, even if you just went to Amco or you went to any franchise and said, hey, I'd like to work for free, or could I just hang out? I'm thinking about doing this or that. Or you may know somebody who works at one of those places. Go there. Because a lot of times you think it's going to be one way. I promise you it isn't. And all these things I'm talking about, I'm just always trying to help somebody figure things out, because I went through so much trial and error. And I once with my buddy from Sicily or whatever, another friend of mine from New York, actually, we had a discussion all the time, and he's like, oh my God, like, why do I always have to pay to learn, like pay the price, not only financially? It's like, I always feel like there's a trade-off. Like, I do this and I get hammered here, or I do that and it cost me this much money, or I did this and I took a huge loss, or whatever the case may be. But I look at that now and say, because we were stupid and we kind of jumped in the pool head first with no water again. We didn't really analyze things. We didn't figure things out. And I'm going to probably have to be getting a new car. So here's the thing too. Say you're looking for a new car and you think you like this car. I tell people, if you can, go rent that car. I used to do that when I brought actually expensive cars. I can't say super expensive, but if I wanted a new Caddy, or if my ex-wife or whoever I'm with wanted a new Lincoln, or they wanted a Beamer, whatever the case may be, I would go rent one for a week or two. And a lot of people are like, that's a lot of money. Well, here's the deal. If I'm going to commit to a car, it could be 2 to 5, 6 years, whatever the case may be. I want to make sure they love that car. And a lot of times I realized when they'd rent the car, or I'd even rent the car, after a week or two, I wasn't that impressed with the car. Like anything else, it's kind of an impulse item. And then I'm thinking, wow, I got to pay $800 a month, not including insurance, the gas, whatever the case may be. This car is going to cost me $1,000 a month. Or even if it's $500 a month. Even if you're looking for a standard car. Something similar again. Go rent the car. Because when I did that, and I really realized that with my ex-wife, is she wanted certain types of cars. I don't care if it's Camaro, whatever. She'd get it. She'd drive it. I'd be like, first few days, awesome. First week, she still dug it. Then I'd be like, let's extend it another. Like, let's just keep it maybe for a month or whatever. Then she was done with the car. She's like, I think I'm going to try this out. Or let's do. Now, I'm not saying do this with everything, but with cars, because you could be renting cars for the rest of your life. You got to have an idea what you want, 1, 2, or 3, whatever the case may be. But make sure if there's one car you're really set on, go test that car. I'd rather pay $400. I don't care if you can only afford 2-3 days. Make sure you get in that car. You like how it, the radio system. You like, blind spots. To go try a car at a car dealership, ride around for 3 miles and come back. Of course, you're gonna most likely like the car. But when you have the car for a few days, then you really get the gist of what it's like to drive it. And I do that with homes as well. Like I learned over the years, a lot of times we think these communities are great. It could even be an apartment complex you think's amazing you drove by. Just go there at night and test it out. Go there. You can't stay there necessarily, like I said, but hang out in that area. Go to the restaurants and make sure you go to these communities at night. Because like I always say, a lot of times during the day, especially in Florida, they look very nice. At night, it's a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying? So, and also talk to people that live in those areas. I don't care if, you go to a coffee shop near there, you go to lunch, you ask people that work around there, what do you think of this community? You really got to, again, figure out what you want, but do not hurt yourself. Put a little time and effort in to figure it out. Take small steps. You don't have to commit to everything all the time. It's actually quite the opposite, I believe. But now on the flip side of that, and here's the thing you got to realize is, once you do find what you want, you have to make, I believe, that work. Understand you need to go full. You have to complete that. You have to kind of engulf yourself in that for any of these things to work, I believe. So if you decide to really read a book, you skim through it. You may read a few pages here and there. Go, you know what? I like this book. I do want to read it. Set a timeout. Set some type of structure so you know I'm going to finish this book. Because I think what also happens is a lot of people, more than ever now, start things and they never complete them. It's even hard to make plans with people if you've realized, because we become so like, well, I'm older, obviously I'm going on 50, but when we would make plans with friends or anybody for dinner, you knew not to make plans. But now it's almost like you can't commit till that day. I'll let you know, or maybe I'll do this. That's not for weddings or christenings or communions or baptisms or like major things. I'm talking about just like, hey, you guys want to do dinner Friday? Yeah, let me know. Let me see how it is. Or like, we're all texting each other and not committing. And that's kind of what I think a lot of our life has become. It's busy with a lot of nonsense. And I think for people to really start getting what they want done, again, you want to test things, but you have to start finishing what you went out to accomplish, because you keep blowing things off more and more and more. You got to really step back in your life and say, what am I really getting anything accomplished? Did I read the book? Did I actually, am I at a gym? Did I join the gym I wanted? Yes. Am I working out as consistently as I wanted to? No. Because just joining a gym does not make you any healthier. You understand that? Obviously, the intensity you bring into that gym is what's going to make you healthier. So, like I'm saying before, take your time finding what you need. But I just think for a human being to kind of be proud of themselves and accomplish what you want to accomplish, finish what you started, man. And start with small things. I talk about this all the time, is people take on too many big things. As far as even say, I'll go back to the gym theory, or say reading a book. Maybe, you haven't been reading for years and all of a sudden you want to read a book that's 600 pages. Not saying you can't do it. Will you stick with it? You might want to find something small that's 130 pages. Or even start off with a magazine. I don't care if you're on an airplane or wherever you're at. Or if you join a gym, you're not going, you want to lose 30 pounds and you're in there for a few months and you're not losing that weight. That's a lot of weight to lose quickly. Start off small. Maybe just, and I talk about this in my program, lose a pound a week or a pound a month. At least you're getting some results. And even with diets, I've been getting hit up a lot with people's diets, which I think a lot of diets are a scam. The truth is, a lot of people, they eat too much food. When they do eat, you could back up your portions. You could change the times of when you're eating. Obviously, some of the food, you don't have to get nuts and all of a sudden be like, I'm never going to eat junk food again. I'm only going to eat this. I'm only eating salads. I'm going to start prepping all my food. It's a lot of bullshit. Again, if you want to make changes, just start small. I tell people, very small. So you want to, for instance, you want to start changing up some of your eating habits. I say just start off like try to do 2 good meals, 1 kind of bad. That doesn't mean you're eating great food and then you got to run a fast food place. I'm just saying keep more in mind at the beginning of what you're eating. And again, back up on the portions, because a lot of us love food. and we were programmed to eat certain foods with our families, that's what we're comfortable eating, most of us. And it's hard to give it up. It's like giving up a family member. And a big part of our culture, at least mine, was eating food or meeting people out for dinner or doing all these fun things. It's almost like it's our identity with a lot of us, food. It's a huge part of us. Very few people I know don't like food. It's like music almost. I don't know many people that don't like music. But, if you think about it, with dieting, just take your time. Focus in on something very small and get the results you want, because it will snowball. You will start believing in yourself. If you say, I want to lose 30 pounds, and then you really lose 5 the first month, you lose another 2, and then you put 5 more on, that's where a lot of people end up quitting, or it starts going the other way. And that can happen. I just want you to be consistent in whatever you're doing a little bit. Again, reading a book, if you say, I'm going to read every night now, most likely you're not. I'm going to read a chapter a night. No, you're not. Let's say a chapter a week makes more sense at the beginning, right? Especially if you're not reading a lot. Then you may get into it and you may fly right through the book. In 3 days you may read it. That's wonderful. But my point being is, it's not like you made these unrealistic expectations, because the first day you may read, the next day you may read, and then it kind of, I forgot, I'm going to read 2 more chapters to catch up. Then the next day, I forgot I got to do this, or I'm too tired, whatever the case may be. Guess what usually happens? You have a book next to you by your lamp, and nobody's reading it. And just, again, try to finish what you started. And a lot of times what we do start, switch it up. If a chapter, say you want to read a chapter a night and you're sticking with it, it was too much, back it up a little bit. If it's not enough, go forward a little more. Just figure those things out. You can change your mind. That's the thing I think that people don't realize. And I'll go back to a gym because I think it's easier for everyone to kind of figure that out. When you're going to a gym, a lot of times you'll be like, okay, I want to get a trainer and do this type of workout. And you're doing that workout and it doesn't work out. Change your mind. Maybe you need another trainer. You don't got to get your feelings hurt. I want to try another trainer, or I want to try a different type of exercise. I don't like weights. I like playing volleyball. I don't like volleyball. I like basketball. I don't like just bodybuilding. I like powerlifting. Whatever the case may be, figure out what you like. Take your time to dabble in all of it. Don't restrict yourself. It reminds me of, I wrote a book called The Model Bible. And I talk about that with the young ladies or women in general, when they wanted to get new hairstyles. And I think this is one of the things which blows me away to this day, how women go out and they cut off all their hair, or they try this crazy hairstyle or crazy color, all these different things. Just like anything else, when they get it, some love it, most hate it. And most, if they got all their hair cut off that I've seen over the years, including family members, friends, colleagues, they don't like it. It's shocking. A lot of times the color they get does not come out the way they liked. So they either have to do it again, or they go back, or they try something new. They're always kind of like testing, which is fine. I used to tell them, go to a wig shop. Just test different wigs. You don't even have to buy them. Any hairstyle or something similar that you may think you like, put them on and look at yourself. I mean, legitimately. And then if you do really like it, buy that wig. It's a small investment. You don't have to go to a real expensive wig. I'm not saying you have to go crazy. And you don't even have to wear the wig out. Wear it around your house. Just wear it just so you can see yourself in the mirror and, see what other people think about it, your close friends and family members. And after they wear the wig, and I've seen this before, after a few days, they're bored with it already. They're like, oh, thank God I didn't do this to my hair. I always kind of look at life like that a little bit. I know what I like, but I'm not always willing to, when I'm trying something new. You got to remember, this is trying something new. I know what I already like. But if I am trying something new, it's almost like food. If I go to a restaurant, I'm not going to commit entirely to something that I really don't know if I want. Because like most of us, we know what we want when we go to a restaurant, especially certain restaurants. Sometimes I'll risk it, and most of the time I'm not as happy. Sometimes, but not always. I legitimately will say to the chef or somebody that I'm there and say, hey, can I have a side dish of this? Or what does this taste like? If you spend money in restaurants, they know you're cool and everything. They will a lot of times let you get a little flavor or a taste. So that's another thing I look at life, just kind of little taste. And then once you taste what you really like, then you kind of order the full meal. And that's kind of what your life should be, right? All right. And be open-minded, please, to yourself. And learn that changing your mind doesn't mean you're weak. I think that's what's happening with a lot of societies. They're like, it's not even changing your identity. Hypothetically, if you like football, like we all do basketball, and you like all of a sudden, none of your friends like I don't know what it is. It could be lacrosse. I'm just using for an example. And you're like, oh, I like lacrosse. My friends are going to think this. Or I like watching this or doing this now or going there. And we kind of paralyze ourselves. Or we say certain things, then we change our mind. We're afraid. It's ridiculous. Or you go to a gym again, you quit, and you want to go, you're quitting, and you're like, oh, everyone's going to think I quit again. But I really don't like this gym. Or I don't like working out with weights. Or I'm going to try this. Do it. You're the only one who's got to live through it. No one gives a shit. They're going to talk shit for a few minutes. Then it's over. If they know you keep trying new things and eventually you're looking and you're going to eventually commit to something, believe me, more people are going to be behind you than ever. They're not going to keep judging you. A lot of people want to help you get to where you want to be, and they need help getting to where they want to be. They just need to figure out what that is. You probably need help. Someone else needs help. And I don't care if you're a billionaire, a millionaire, that goes for a company or whatever, in case may be, or if you're poor. We all have certain goals. And look forward. It's not just like the 5-year rule. A lot of times you do have to look forward to say, hey, what decisions do I plan on making 2 years from now, 3 years from now? It's not just about saying, oh, I hope I'm a millionaire and I live in a mansion, right? It's kind of a dream, which is fine. You can dream that way. But what decisions are going to lead me to that house? Like, how much money am I going to have to make per year to get me to that house? What type of job or what type of company do I have to make or create or be involved with for that to actually happen? So again, small steps to figure out what you like, what you want to do to get you to where you want to be. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. All right, thanks for listening in. If you get a chance, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's just under my name, Rich CELENZA. What else we got? This podcast. We got a Facebook page, LinkedIn, and Twitter account out there. All right. Oh, yeah, I got my program, Mastering Self-Confidence 2 out there as well. So I actually got to catch 3 planes to Regina, Canada. It's like minus 21 below. Crazy. And then I got to go to Banff, which is beautiful. Banff, Canada, if you ever had an opportunity. I'm not a skier. Probably one of the most beautiful little towns I've ever been in North America. It's gorgeous. It's BANFF, Canada. If you snow ski or snowboard, you'll know about it. But if not, but even, a lot of people go to Whistler in Canada and other places as well. But definitely check out Banff if you can. I like Victoria. So, all right, well, take care. And if you're traveling, safe travels.